Dorsey case and what's being done now to keep the family safe. An attempt to steal a car right from a dealer's lot just days after Kia and Hyundai started rolling out anti-theft software. 2 are in custody, but wait until you hear how young the suspects are. And that gender gap that still exists in STEM fields all around the world, what one woman is doing to try to get more girls involved and hired.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News at 6 starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track, your Baltimore Minute.
More than 2 weeks after a Norfolk Southern train derailment upended their community, the Ohio Emergency Management Agency publishing these water test results. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine emphasizing it's safe, but acknowledges residents have questions. In a letter Saturday, both of Ohio Senators Brown and Republican J.D. Vance thanked the EPA and Ohio's EPA for what they called swift responses, but called for additional testing for dioxins, highly toxic compounds they fear could have formed in the air.
The screeching sound of squealing tires bringing police and City Councilman Yitzi Schleifer to this shopping plaza parking lot on Northern Parkway Sunday night. The driver, Schleifer says, was cited for a newly enacted law he introduced last year that stiffens the penalty for street racing, stunt driving, and dirt bike riding here in Baltimore.
And so here we have a situation where there's actually a new law in place that's a pretty strict law. It's the strictest in the state.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. The family of Deontay Dorsey fears for their safety after losing their son to gun violence this year and calling for justice. The family's attorney says somebody opened fire on their home this weekend. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor has reaction from the Dorseys and police.
Yeah, while the family's attorney, Thuru Vignaraja, says there's no proof that this shooting was an attempt to silence them, he's calling the timing of it conspicuous and alarming. Meanwhile, the city state's attorney's office is now placing the blame on Vignaraja, saying it's his actions that put this family at risk in the first place.
It's incredibly alarming.
Mere hours after thanking police for the arrest of their 16-year-old son's alleged killer.
Justice has to be done, not on street corners, but in courthouses.
The family of Deontay Dorsey says their home sprayed with gunshots Friday night. Without disclosing the home's location, the family's attorney, Thuru Vignaraja, sharing photos and video of the damage, bullet holes puncturing the walls, windows, and front door. When asked to confirm, BPD writing, quote, when police arrived, they found that a home had been hit multiple times by what seemed to be bullets.
It's scary. They're scared.
Vignaraja says 11 family members, including 4 children, were inside at the time. And while no one was physically injured, the emotional toll still daunting.
This family is in grief. They are in mourning. It's only been 6 or 7 weeks. And now they have to worry about their children, their loved ones, their extended family being in further danger.
An exact motive remains unclear, although Vignaraja calling it a targeted attack, seemingly one meant to send a message.
This was not, shooting into the sky to send a warning. These were bullets fired into the house.
A message the family doesn't take lightly and won't be giving into.
They're not going to step down for fighting for Deontay.
Vignaraja saying the Dorsey family has since been relocated to a safe space, a move he claims should have been made weeks ago.
Candidly, the Dorsey family has been seeking relocation since shortly after the funeral, and it shouldn't take this long. They are frustrated. This is a wake-up call about the importance of keeping family members safe in the wake of high-profile violent crimes in particular.
Meanwhile, the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office pointing the finger back at Vignaraja, arguing he's the one putting the family in harm's way. In a statement sent to Fox 45, City State's Attorney spokesperson James Bentley writing, quote, we are quite concerned at the lack of care the family's attorney has shown for their safety. At the press conference on Friday, he stated there remained a suspect at large, but still had the family on display, demonstrating little to no concern for their safety.
Now, I did get a chance to speak with Vignarajah and Deontay Dorsey's aunt over the phone this evening. They're saying that statement from the city state's attorney's office is deeply troubling. Deontay Dorsey's aunt even getting emotional, brought to tears several times throughout our phone conversation as she came to the defense of her attorney. Take a listen to what both of them had to say.
My family and I are very disappointed by the state's attorney's comments, especially since this is the first time we've heard from him. If we want to speak to the public, we will, and we expect our attorney, LaRue, to respect our request. Today of all days is not the time to attack our family. We have been through enough.
I'm troubled that this is the message that is being sent out. And I had hoped the era of blaming victims had ended with the prior administration.
Now, I also asked Vignarajah if the city state's attorney's office had any part in initially denying or delaying the Dorsey family relocation services. He wouldn't answer the question, saying that the focus needs to be on seeking justice and safety for this family, not on placing blame. In Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
While police search for the shooters at the Dorsey house, the violence brings back some painful memories of the Dawson family murders. This past October marked 20 years since a drug dealer firebombed Angela Dawson's home, killing her, her husband, and 5 children. It was deemed an act of retaliation for reporting illegal drug activity near their home. Ahead at 10 tonight, we're going to take a closer look at revamped efforts by state and city lawmakers to ensure safety for residents who come forward to report crime in their neighborhoods. An unidentified woman was shot and killed in southwest Baltimore. Police responded to West North Avenue this morning to investigate a shot spotter alert. That's where they found the victim. She was rushed to the hospital where she died. Anybody with information is urged to contact Baltimore police. This year, 37 people have been killed in Baltimore compared to 50 last year at this time. An additional 69 people have survived being shot in the city last year. Nearly 100 people had been shot at this point. We will continue to track the violence across the city and provide updates right here. Baltimore County Police Detective Jonathan Chi is back home after being released from shock trauma yesterday. Fox 45 cameras were there when he was flown to shock trauma 10 days ago. Detective Chi was wounded in the manhunt for David Linthicum. Charging documents against Linthicum revealed Chi was shot and his vehicle stolen by the suspect. Chi was one of 2 officers wounded in that 36-hour standoff. Police are looking into shots fired in Severn over the weekend. Anne Arundel County police officers responded to reports of 4 to 6 men wearing all black running around a parking lot in Mead Village Circle and Hallow Court while firing a gun. Multiple shell casings were found at the scene. No one was hurt. Anybody with information should contact Anne Arundel County Police. And new tonight, a bizarre and dangerous find by TSA agents at BWI. Take a look. These are martial arts swords that were packed in a carry-on, according to officials. The passenger apparently voluntarily left them behind instead of going back and checking the bag. These type of weapons can only fly if they are part of your checked baggage.
In Anne Arundel County, police arrested 2 teens for allegedly trying to steal a car. This is what they tell us. Officers responded to Antwerpen motor cars in Pasadena on Friday, where 3 people were seen in a Kia sedan trying to remove the dashboard and start the vehicle with a USB cable. Now, 2 13-year-olds were arrested and charged. Police are still looking for the 3rd person. Now, this happened just days after Kia and Hyundai announced the companies were rolling out software updates to their vehicles that have been targeted in part due to viral social media challenges showing how people can start a car without keys. Fox 45 News has reported on this issue for months now. Numerous local police departments have urged customers to get steering wheel locks until their cars get the necessary upgrades. Coming up tonight at 10 o'clock, we'll take you to a nearby police department taking matters into their own hands, giving out free wheel locks today. Mary?
Kai, thank you. And here's our look at today's top trending stories. Number one, former President Jimmy Carter is now receiving hospice care at home after several stays in the hospital. Carter, now 98 years old, is the oldest living U.S. president, and he had battled and beaten cancer multiple times prior. But in a statement, his office said he will no longer seek medical intervention. Hospice care focuses on comfort for those who are terminally ill. Number two, a new damaging 6.4 magnitude earthquake has hit Turkey and Syria, one of the strongest aftershocks yet. This comes nearly 2 weeks after the 7.8 quake struck the countries, resulting in the deaths of over 45,000 people. Officials said more buildings collapsed, trapping occupants, and rescue efforts are underway right now. Number three, new court filings show prosecutors have dropped the gun enhancement charge against Alec Baldwin in a deadly movie set shooting case. Baldwin's legal team had argued the firearm statute does not apply to Baldwin's case because it took effect 7 months after the October 2021 shooting. The enhancement is a mandatory minimum of 5 years behind bars if convicted, but again, that is not in play anymore in Baldwin's case. Coming up, a major announcement about the Lincoln Memorial on this President's Day. The major renovation and new museum going in the secret underground location in Washington.
I was just looking on Twitter and saw some folks calling this a very Maryland forecast over the next several days. And that it is very frenetic all over the place. Temperatures near 50 as we head through Wednesday, Thursday. We're at 77, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday back closer to average. I'll let you know when it comes with rain and maybe even some snow. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.
It's looking more like a presidential campaign stop. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' barnstorming pro-police tour. Political strategists on how this will shape the 2024 race for the White House. President Joe Biden is in Ukraine on President's Day. Governor Ron DeSantis is stateside. Two presumed 2024 candidates spending the day very differently. National correspondent Angela Brown is with DeSantis.
Governor Ron DeSantis not declaring for president yet, but he's looking more like a candidate tonight, leaving Florida, barnstorming 3 states, possibly crafting his national message on crime.
Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida.
Governor Ron DeSantis visiting Philadelphia at a difficult time. The city of brotherly love mourning the murder of one of their own, a Temple police officer.
And I think if somebody goes out and murders a police officer, they should get the death penalty for murdering the police officer.
Applause rumbling throughout his speech in front of dozens squeezed into the American Legion, less than 40 minutes outside of Philly, a city facing a violent crime crisis, 516 homicides last year.
We're going to get this country back. We're going to get the big cities under control.
DeSantis drawing a contrast between Florida and deep blue cities with progressive DAs, like impeached Philadelphia DA Larry Krasner, under fire for failing to prosecute some crimes and dropping cash bond for others.
We had a fella in Tampa that had said there were certain laws that he was not going to enforce or prosecute in the state of Florida that had been duly enacted by our legislature. And so I removed him from his office. He's fired.
DeSantis in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia areas embraced inside of these events, facing backlash outside. Before stepping foot in Illinois, their governor tweeting this out. DeSantis' dangerous and hateful agenda has no place in Illinois. Republican strategist Dina Bass-Williams.
He certainly is going into the belly of the beast as it relates to cities that are struggling with crime.
Chicago is in Cook County, where the state's attorney faces scrutiny after a flurry of attorneys left, while in New York City, major crime up 22%.
How would you categorize this, these 3 cities in one day?
This is definitely foretelling of a presidential bid. Again, he has the book coming out. He's going into these very Democratic cities to say, bring it on.
After the event, we talked to DeSantis one-on-one about the connection between crime and education, what some call the school-to-prison pipeline.
The school unions really control everything, and they are running it more based on their interests rather than the best interests of the students.
A crisis in the streets, a crisis in the classroom. Students in Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, in some cases seeing test scores lower than before the pandemic. Reporting in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, I'm Angela Brown.
1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands. The Americans stands with you, and the world stands with you.
In a major show of solidarity, President Biden making a surprise trip to Ukraine. This comes days before the country marks 1 year since the invasion by Russia. President Biden spending about 5 hours in Kyiv meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. To bolster America's support, the U.S. is pledging another $500 million in military aid. The unannounced trip came as the president was headed to Poland in hopes of shoring up more NATO aid for Ukraine. Well, the historic Lincoln Memorial is getting a huge makeover. The National Park Service announced a nearly $69 million renovation project today as we mark President's Day. The agency says the project will create 15,000 square feet of new museum space that tells a more complete story of the Lincoln Memorial. Some of that is the long-hidden undercroft, the cavernous space beneath the memorial. The work begins next month and should be complete in 2026 in time to celebrate the country's 250th birthday.
Right, taking a look at the Fox Triplecast. A good afternoon, good evening to be out and about anywhere across Baltimore, down to D.C., anything outside, the way to go. Mile 1 Task Cam, Toyota issued a Harbor Skycam. Showing a few extra clouds, but the HG radar not producing a whole lot. Our latest weather maker going to have maybe a couple of sprinkles, light showers overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. Still light on the Mile 1 Task Cam. Loving that. 59 degrees, winds into the southwest at 8 miles an hour, and humidity 45%. Temperatures all in the 50s right now. 58 degrees at Annapolis, 59 here in Baltimore, 58 at Bel Air. We're 57 at Westminster, 63 still at Frederick, where we had high temperatures today at 66. And we take a look at the wider scope. It's 59 Baltimore. Really, the entire state is nice and mild, except way up at elevation, up a couple thousand feet at least up at Oakland, where, of course, that's right near the Wisp Ski Resort. Temperatures in the low to mid 40s there. One lone shower that's right near Lancaster, Pennsylvania, continuing to move eastbound away, but there's more rain that's out west of us that's going to try to make its way in overnight. You see it's very scattered. Very mild for us right now, but notice the colder air, even some snow blizzard warnings out in portions of the western United States. Actually, a lot of the western United States under winter weather warnings. We're on the warmer, showery side of the country as this latest system is going to kind of swoop in and then hang with us. So on and off. Next couple of days, there will be a few showers here and there and some temperature gyrations as that front kind of moves in, moves north, moves south, moves north again. Here we go. We're on the warmer side of things, though, for tonight into tomorrow. Notice a few of these showers around into the wee hours of tomorrow morning. There could even be a sprinkle to wake you up in the morning. And then as we head into the afternoon, more short sleeves weather as we make it into the 60s, maybe a spritz later in the day as well. And then heading into Wednesday, it looks like a cooler stretch to the weather here, at least for a day or so, with some more showers around. Again, that system is kind of slung overhead. So on and off light showers Wednesday, highs only in the 40s. Then we pop temperatures back up to near record levels Thursday. 44, lots of clouds tonight. There could be a few showers, early shower tomorrow. 65, get outside, enjoy it. It's going to be windy, though, in the afternoon. Exclusive 10-day forecast coming up. I'll let you know how much more of these gyrations we have to face in a couple of minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A great way to start the day with a display of crepuscular rays from South Carolina. These beams are most visible at sunrise and sunset when the sun shines between gaps in clouds or other things. Particles of dust, moisture, and pollutants also scatter the light into beams. And now a Pacific Northwest sunset on a recent sunny, cold, and windy evening on Oregon's Cannon Beach.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Well, here in the U.S. and really all around the world, a gender gap still exists at all levels of science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM. Holly Menino from our Sinclair sister station in Seattle spoke with one woman who is trying to get more girls into STEM fields.
It's of paramount importance that we have as diverse a workforce as possible.
Katie McCormick is the director of product for Promethean. Headquartered in Seattle, the ed tech company founded in the 1980s by teachers creates high-tech classroom tools.
The tech that we create really allows teachers to create lesson content and deliver it in a way that's going to be engaging to all of their students, regardless of learning style.
That tech can be found in schools throughout Seattle and Washington State. On the day we visited, we got our own STEM lesson. Build a rocket with spaghetti noodles, marshmallows, and gumdrops. This month, many celebrate the role that women and girls play in this industry, but it's still not enough. The field far from equal.
And girls and women